Hi there, this is John, and the weather out today is breezy but beautiful. The temperature's up. We may have the start of spring. Who knows? Anyway, enough of the weather here at Mount Shasta. What I noticed today is that, as you well know, I do a lot of research around the truth. I am what you might call an inveterate truth seeker. And in fact, I'm curious how many of you out there are truth seekers who care about the truth, who really want to know what's going on in the world. Because I do. I care about what's going on. I want to know what's going on. I'm not scared of the truth. I know that it may change my worldview. It may change how I act in the world, how I behave, which is totally appropriate. Even though sometimes knowing the truth can be upsetting. Yeah, sometimes I get angry, sometimes I get scared, sometimes I feel sad because of what's going on in the world. I mean, there's some really horrible things that are happening. But what I was noticing today is that I have something on the order of 90 subscriptions on YouTube. This is most of where I get my information. I mean, occasionally I'll look at books and things of that sort, or go to websites and do different things to get at the information that I need to. But in terms of current events, YouTube is the best place. There's a lot of alternative media sources. I do not go to the mainstream news organizations like CNN, MSNBC, Fox. I mean, of course, they do have up-to-the-minute news. They have a lot of people out there collecting news, but they are basically repeaters. They repeat whatever they're told to say. If you listen recently to Sinclair Broadcasting and the fact that there was a meme, a video that actually went out where they had all these different local stations, because Sinclair Broadcasting holds a lot of the U.S. market around local news stations and radio stations. And they compiled this video where they had everyone speaking pretty much in unison, exactly word for word what Sinclair Broadcasting wanted them to say. And it was about fake news, which was fascinating. But that's just one piece of a much larger, if you want to call it conspiracy, because many people would call me a conspiracy theorist. And conspiracy theory is one of those labels that gets attached to people like me who are searching for the truth, who question the mainstream narrative, the official narrative, the government narrative, the narrative that a certain cabal wants us to believe. And when you question that, then you become labeled as a conspiracy theorist. It's almost like if you question science and it's something outside the mainstream, then it is ridiculed. It's called loony. It's called BS. It's fascinating to watch how programmed we've been. So today I just want to talk a little bit about, well, not just talk, I want to honor all of those who are stepping up and telling the truth, at least their version of the truth, which, again, not any one single individual has the entire truth. But in the age of lies, and I'm going to paraphrase this is a quote from someone else, but in the age of lies, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. And in fact, it's a dangerous act. There have been close to 100 holistic doctors that have been killed in suspicious circumstances. So, they usually rule it either a suicide or an accident, an accidental drowning. Yes, he shot himself in the head twice. I mean, it gets ridiculous, but it happens. And there are a number of people who have been telling the truth over the years. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. And now is a time when there are more and more people awakening, more and more people telling the truth. I mean, I've got, like I said, something on the order of 90 subscriptions to various people who are telling the truth. I mean, that's what I do, and I look every morning and see, okay, well, what should I watch today? What looks interesting? What do I want to learn more about? Some of it is around historical facts. I mean, there's one thing that I recently watched, and a couple of people have brought it up, is that back in the 60s, I think 66, the USS Liberty was a ship that was in the Mediterranean during the war between Israel and Egypt. And the Israelis, and this is all verified, this is all documented, and you can watch a couple of videos on it on YouTube. But what happened was the Israelis opened fire. I mean, they could see, obviously. I mean, it had a U.S. flag. It was clear. I mean, one of the sailors actually waved at an Israeli ship aircraft as it buzzed the destroyer. And the sailors were just lounging on the deck. I mean, they were at ease. And then the Israeli aircraft strafed it. They actually strafed the destroyer. A ship came out. They torpedoed it. They were basically trying to kill everyone on board and sink the ship. Now, why would they do that? Well, it became pretty obvious later on that what they wanted to do was, because they were allies, right? The U.S. and Israel were allies, purportedly. And so the plan was a false flag attack. That what they wanted to do is they wanted to kill everyone, sink it, and blame it on Egypt so that the U.S. would come in and basically bomb Egypt. So there's a long history of false flags. Our nation is not the only one to have used false flags. And Operation Northwoods is documentation of when the CIA actually proposed using a false flag against Cuba. So I just want to honor all the truth tellers that I listen to and all the others that I don't. I mean, there's so many out there, but I want to honor them because they're risking their lives, and not necessarily just their lives, but oftentimes, they're whistleblowers. I've listened to different whistleblowers who have had their lives destroyed, maybe not taken out. Gary Webb is another good example of someone who was telling the truth. He was a reporter for the San Jose Times, I believe. And there was a movie made about him. And they basically destroyed his life. His wife and children left him. His newspaper fired him. Well, they didn't fire him, but they moved him to another paper in Sacramento, and essentially his life was pretty much destroyed. But that wasn't enough, because he stuck to his guns, and he was found, and it was ruled officially as a suicide with 2 bullets to the head. Now, I don't know how you can commit suicide by shooting yourself twice in the head, But that's how it works. Another one was Martin Luther King. Well, the big one was JFK. I mean, he was talking about, there was a famous speech of his that gets trotted out all the time, where he talked about secret organizations that he was going to blow the whistle on. He was going to expose them. And I think it was just a few weeks, 3 weeks later that he was assassinated. So I just want to honor all of the people that have spoken up, that have shared their truth, and have tried to change the world for the better. So that's my my sharing for today. Thank you for listening.